Hey, this is David Owen.
And this is Marian Cowligowan.
And this is You Show Me Yours, a podcast where a married couple talks about the movies and television that they loved before the first date. And this time, I was made to watch Center Stage.
Yeah. So listen, gals, ladies, females, everybody. When you're looking for a spouse, they tell you look for someone who makes you laugh, looks for someone who brings you flowers, all these things. No, here's what you need to do. Look for someone who will watch Center Stage with you when you ask them to. That is what they call true partner sacrifice. I know now that Dave truly loves me because he sat through Center Stage because I asked him to. Of all the movies that he has watched for me on this podcast so far, and probably all the ones that he ever will, this is like the least Dave movie of all. And I kind of can't believe that he didn't spontaneously combust when he watched this. So yes, this is Center Stage, came out in 2000. It's a dance movie, which kind of tells you a lot of what you need to know right there. It was directed by Nicholas Heitner, who directed The Madness of King George, and I believe a version of The Crucible. I'm not sure if it was the Winona Ryder one, but The Crucible. So very different than this. So I'm not sure if, I think this was the departure from his normal type of work. So that's just sort of an interesting turn of events. I will read you the description from Google Play, and then we will go from there. Parts of it are slightly misleading, but we'll get to that. A dozen adolescents have begun their training at the renowned American Ballet Academy, where they encounter tremendous physical and mental stress while vying for a coveted spot in a celebrated dance company. Jodie Sawyer has talent, but the wrong proportions. The fiery, we're going to get back to that for sure, the fiery Eva Rodriguez can't seem to get along with her instructors, and Maureen is having a hard time enduring the emotional highs and lows that accompany ballet school. Dave, does that sound like the movie that you just watched?
Kind of. I mean, maybe a little bit.
Yeah. Well, there are parts yes and part not so much, but we're going to get to that in a second. So first of all, yeah. So I saw this when it came out in the theaters. A bunch of my coworkers and I, we all went to some bad movies together, and this was one of them. I remember we were talking about going to see it, and I said this great line that must have been in one of the trailers. It goes, "But what about what I want?" Which is, you can tell that this is targeted at like 14-year-old girls who, it's very like light pop feminism, nothing really serious, but just enough to get them to stand up for themselves every once in a while. But yeah, and I've seen it several times since then. I think I owned it on VHS at one point, bygone technology. And it's not, I would say, not an especially good movie. And there are some of the messages that I question, which we're going to get into in a little bit. But it's comforting. And I am honestly a sucker for dance movies. Also goes for gymnastics, ice skating. If there were a movie about competitive divers, I'd be a sucker for that too. Anything where people make their bodies do things that I will never be able to do the longest day I live. Certainly not now. And even at like 10, 15, my body was not made for that. So that's what I like about this, is just watching the dancing. But so had you heard of this before?
I mean, I'd seen the name before, certainly bouncing around somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I knew nothing about this movie at all. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so what is your thumbs up, thumbs down after watching it?
I don't know.
Well, it's interesting to look at. When you look this up, I've noticed that they'll tell you a movie's score on Rotten Tomatoes and then on Google Play and various other sites that aggregate things. Google Play is mostly, I think, the actual viewers who watch the movie, and Rotten Tomatoes integrates critics' reviews. Rotten Tomatoes score is something like 42%. Google Play is like 89%. So this is what they call not critically acclaimed, but still beloved. It's that type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of movies like this that just critics are just like whatever, but people love it, and this is the kind of movie absolutely where I can see people just really a certain type of person just really being into it. I mean, it's Dirty Dancing, cutting edge.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those for the year 2000.
It is
for the late Gen Xers.
It is in the I think more millennials really, but
well, I mean like us, like
sure.
You know, we were obviously the kids in this would be millennials.
Yes,
but we were still, you know, if you were born in 79, you were basically a millennial.
Yeah,
unfortunately. So you know, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, early millennials, late Gen Xers, kind of, because you're still in your 20s, you're going to get behind a movie like this, you know.
Well, as I did, I was 2000, I was 23, so that's still, I thought I was an adult then, I really was not.
Yeah.
So no, well, and you know, it's interesting. They say adolescence in this movie description, but they seem 18, 19, possibly over 21. It's really hard to tell, but I hear adolescents, I think like 15, 16, and I don't think they are. Yeah,
no, not at all. I mean, yeah, they're at minimum, I would think, graduated from high school. And then there are a couple of them that read as older and I think say that they're older because there's a point where like they get margaritas or something.
Well, I noticed that too, but then I was like, is this like when you watch 90210 and you're just not supposed to question why Dylan lives in a hotel and has no income? You just like don't hand wave it. Don't, you know.
Well, like, but I think I wonder if, you know, I don't. It's not worth putting any more thought into.
I did notice that because there's at the beginning Eva's with her friends and they've all got cigarettes and beer, and then they're at a club and getting margaritas, and there's lots of. But I think the legal drinking age is we hand wave this away. There's not
right. It's not. This movie is not concerned with keeping consistent with reality.
No. Well, and I also here. Let's just. So we read you the Google Play synopsis. Essentially, Jody, our main character is Jody, and you know right away that she is naive because she's from the Midwest and she's blonde and innocent looking. So clearly that goes with being naive. Yeah. And I would contend not very street smart. There's one point where someone says to her, "You're really smart. You could go to college." And I'm like, we have not been shown that she is smart.
Yeah, show don't tell.
At all. I don't believe this at all.
You could even just throw in a thing where like someone says, "What's 6 times 6?" And she just like right away says 36 or something.
Yeah. Is that
she's smart?
Is that the level of smart that we're going for?
she did that math in her head.
Wow. She knows her multiplication tables.
She doesn't even have to take off her shoes.
Great. I bet she knows the capital of the United Kingdom too. Wow, this is Mensa material. So Jody has been dancing ballet her whole life. We don't know how old she is, but there's some discussion of college. So she's 17, 18-ish.
Yeah. And she seems to be making this choice as opposed to going to college.
This is instead of, and she is accepted into the American Ballet Academy in New York City, which is a branch of American Ballet Company, which I think is modeled after the real life American Ballet Theater, which also has a school. And it's this big, the most prestigious ballet academy anywhere. And she goes and there's this whole crew of.
Wait, can I just say, the whole thing with her getting in?
Yes.
It's so like they look at her and they're like, she doesn't have she has bad feet and she doesn't have the right proportions. And then they go, but look at her.
You can't take your eyes off her.
Oh my God. Like, also, but then like there are 4 more of her in this movie, minimum, just young, blonde, like I don't understand. I don't look at her and go, oh, wow.
You have to accept from the beginning that she is there's something about her that glows and she's riveting, and that's all you need in a ballet dancer. Well, and it's never, they talk about bad feet that she has, which is noted from the beginning in her audition. They're like, she's not technically great or whatever. Bad feet. I would never clear what that is. They talk about she doesn't have the ideal body type. She looks thin to me. I don't know.
I think the way they try to drive that home is that she has a hard time doing the foot spreading thing.
Well, that's turnout, and that's a different thing.
I think that what I wonder, or what I took away from it, is that was supposed to be something to show that like her hips aren't right. Like because they constantly talk about her proportions and that she doesn't have the body for ballet. And that's what I'm wondering. Just like, was that supposed to be like, well, because she doesn't have these narrow hips or whatever, she can't do the turnout
maybe
like these other rail thin girls. Or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Like you think she's kept the weight off, so she's quote thin, but there's different ways of being thin. Maybe that's it.
I don't know. Like that's just me reading something in that isn't there. But yeah, I was just
maybe.
that was my thing. I was just like, oh, are they trying to show me that this is the reason that they keep talking about her proportions, because it makes it mechanically more difficult for her to actually do ballet?
That might be it. I don't imagine they thought it through that much, but
I don't know.
Yeah. So she is new to the school, and it's, again, I don't understand how this school works, because there's a mention of one student has been there since she was 9.
Yeah.
So is this, they have dorms. So is this like a school where it's your academics and dance together?
There's no indication that that's the case.
I don't ever, like at one point somebody has a notebook and what looks like a textbook and says, I'm going to the library, but you don't ever see that part. And this is instead of college. So you think she has finished high school. So yeah.
I think we have both just thought more about this movie than the screenwriters did.
Yes. This is why we should have a job as like script supervisors, but they would.
Script doctors.
No, nobody wants that. Nobody wants consistency in their movies.
Okay. So yeah, we get, she's in, and here we got a ragtag group of ballet dancing rebels.
Yes. And there are several new students along with her, which again, if this is so prestigious, why are you bringing people in the last year if they're not super awesome? But, whatever. One of them is Eva, played by Zoe Saldana. There are not many name actors in this, by the way. I would say they fall into 3 groups. The names Zoe, Peter Gallagher and his eyebrows, and then I don't know if it's Ian Bailey, who I recognize from some other things, was in Fight Club and some other things. So those are the names you'll recognize, and then there's a whole lot of dancers whose names you don't know unless you're really into dance. And then pretty much everyone who's ever been an attorney, a victim, a witness, a juror, something on Law and Order.
Yeah, like
those are your 3 camps.
Yeah. So I was wondering by watching this, like a lot of these people had to be actual dancers or have dancing backgrounds, because
Jodie's a dancer, Charlie's a dancer, Cooper is a dancer, Kathleen is a dancer, Sergey is a dancer.
Yeah, I mean that it makes sense, because you couldn't bring these people in and be like, let's teach you to pass as a world-class ballerina.
I think Zoe Saldana had done enough ballet that they could use her for a lot of shots, but there was a double for a lot of her, like her serious.
Yeah, there's a lot of wide shots.
Yeah,
so there are often times where I just like the mechanical part of my brain that dissects films as I'm watching it was like, this is a double.
Yes,
this is clearly like, this is the kind of thing, if they made it today, there'd be a lot of face replacement going on. Like, they'd be doing a lot of that.
I prefer doubles though. Speaking of that, because I like a couple months ago I watched I, Tonya, and they used a face double for Margot Robbie, and it was very distracting. Like there was just enough off that I could tell, and it creeped me out. I didn't like it.
I heard that movie in particular criticized for that. So I don't know that means the technology isn't there in this day and age, or if it's just that movie did it poorly.
I don't know. It was I don't know how else you do it, but anyway. So, but yeah, a lot of actual dancers in this, which means that the dancing is very lovely and a lot of fun to watch. So that's
if you know anything about ballet.
Well,
sometimes they'll show something and everyone will be like, that's not good. And I'm like, I don't know. And then they'll show something and be like, oh, wow.
Well,
and I'm like, I don't know. Was that better than the other one?
Yeah. Well, yeah. As I know nothing about dance, but particularly with anything with body mechanics, I always want to learn, like, how do you do that? How do you teach your arm to go that way instead of that way? Because I have no skill at all. And so I always appreciate when you can learn something about a discipline like that. But I guess this movie is not where I'm going to learn about that. So, but yeah, there is a lot of, oh, that's terrible. Oh, who's a disaster? And I'm like, I don't know. She's standing on her toes. That's better than I could do.
She's basically a wacky waving arm inflatable tube man.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. So
no body control.
Right. So, but okay. So we talked about, Eva.
Yeah. The rag. I'm sorry. Back to the ballet gang.
So yeah. So the description that I read earlier calls her fiery. I feel like, so first of all, I'm not entirely comfortable with the only ballerina of color being the one who's also, quote, fiery.
Yeah.
But,
because her introduction is like, when Jodie gets that, she's like, oh my God, I got it. And Eva's like, oh my God, I got it.
She's kind of,
You're
yeah,
like,
it's a little bit, not the opposite of sour grapes, but it's kind of like Groucho Marx. I wouldn't want to be in a club that would have me as a member or something. She's very, like, she doesn't want, she has a stank attitude, everything.
Yes.
And part of me is like, how did you survive to this age, whatever that is, without getting your ass kicked by being rude to every single person in your life?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't understand, but okay.
No, yeah, she is just, she just, someone was like, she's hard. She's from the streets.
Well,
like that's the whole description of this character.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Hard,
well, and it's
from the streets.
You've seen this before. Hard shell, marshmallow inside. She's using brusqueness to mask her. You know, blah blah
She's
blah.
keeping people at arm's length because she doesn't want anyone to get close.
We've. I think it's interesting that the person who seems to figure that out about her is the other dancer of color.
Yeah.
Eric, who you might notice he's gay.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. They wasted like no time. I mean, first of all, they introduce him and he is over the top gay, and then he immediately hits on his roommate. Yeah. He does a hetero check on his roommate immediately.
Yes.
Which that to me, like, I am in no way the sort of person who's like, you got to keep, solids with solids and plaids with plaids, like, whatever. I think you can have co-ed dorms, you can have co-ed rooms, all that stuff. But yeah, it's at the time that this was made, I don't know how the attitudes were, but like rooming with a gay roommate as a straight person, I feel like there was something they could have explored there. But then
I think in the dance world,
well, yeah, of course. But I think it's even better that they didn't explore it. That that the guy wasn't like, oh, I got a room with this gay guy who's hitting on me. He was just like, whatever.
I'm sure that was something that he has dealt with and processed years and years before. I did like his very subtle rejection, like, oh, my girlfriend dumped me.
Yeah.
Like, girlfriend. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, the one who kind of who seems to really recognize what Eva is feeling and calls her on it gently is Eric, which I thought was interesting. But Eric introduces himself and immediately says, I'm Eric Jones, but my stage name is Eric O. Jones. Oh, after Oprah. She's my idol. And you're like, oh, like, okay.
Right. This was the year 2000. Oprah was still,
well,
like,
and
cool.
we are, this is a very unsubtle portrayal of what a gay man is like.
Right, yes.
But okay, sure. And there are a couple of other, Charlie, who is Eric's roommate, is another gay new dancer. Eric's also new. Jody and, my gosh, too many names. Jody and Eva are living with Maureen, who is the one who's been there since she was 9, and she is perfect, and she knows it, and she's rude.
Yes.
But she also has deep feelings that have not been explored yet. And seemingly she begins to explore those feelings because a boy opens her heart.
Yes, because Commissioner Gordon hits on her. Like, you didn't need to name this character Jim Gordon. Like, you could have James, like anything, but they literally just call him Jim Gordon.
Oh, leave sweet Jim Gordon alone. He is a good guy.
But they literally just named him after the commissioner of police from Batman.
Well,
I mean, couldn't it be Joe Gordon? Like, give me just...
Well, okay. So I've seen this many, many times. This was on recently and I saw part of it, and we get to so Jim is in college and in Columbia, which I guess the campus is near where this is, and is working for the catering company that is staffing one of their events one night, and sees Maureen at one of their benefits and is instantly smitten. And he manages to find out her name and calls the academy's main office repeatedly. Doesn't have her number, but calls the thing. And I was thinking, this is simultaneously stalkerish, but also very clever. Like, I think it's meant to come across as, oh, he's so sweet, he's smitten, he can't, but also it's like he's calling and then he lets everybody else know that he's interested in her to the point that she can't really say no.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he has a cover of like, well, I didn't have any other way to reach you.
How was I supposed to
I'm
find
just
you?
calling the main number. That's what information gave me. So
Right.
he
yeah.
is mildly stalkerish, but he seems like
Yes.
a good guy. And, so we're supposed to forgive him all that.
Yeah, real talk. During the scene where he is introduced, I thought it was Charlie. Like there are
Really?
two young dark-haired guys
Yeah.
that I've been introduced to in the course of,
Yeah.
12 minutes of this movie or whatever that's been going on so far. And I was just like, why is the Charlie guy, I'm not gay roommate guy,
Right.
all
He's
of a
also
sudden hitting on the Maureen? And then, he followed them out. And I was like, why is he following them out?
Yeah.
And offering them hors d'oeuvres from his tray. And then I realized when he introduced himself, I'm like, oh, okay, this is not the guy. This is a totally different guy. Like, just when you've got a movie like this, like, it just helps so much.
Yeah.
I need brown hair.
Yeah.
I need red hair. I need blonde. Like, I need as many ways as possible.
Distinctive. Yeah.
To tell people apart.
So the year before this, he had been in Fight Club where he was bald. So that's a possibility. Actually, what's funny is there's a scene in Fight Club where all of the dudes, all of Tyler Durden's minions are cater waiters at an event like this. So it's sort of funny that he's.
Yeah, that is true.
But this is, Fanwank. This is actually a Tyler Durden project.
Right. These exist in the same world
to destroy the ballet community.
Yes.
And this is he's going to introduce her to Marla Singer, and they're going to have a lot to talk about. Oh my gosh, I got lost. We're all over the place.
There's nothing going on in this movie, but there's so much going on in this movie.
Yes. Well, so Jim Gordon for a second. He's got that mild stalkerish touch, but I think he's a sweet guy. And at the end, so long story, Maureen has been pressured into ballet by her mother, who works for the company and is I was noticing she kind of looks like Samantha from Sex and the City. And this is kind of like if Samantha her life had gone really astray and she was left as a single mother and no time for sex. And so she's channeling all of her energy into making her daughter's life what she wants it to be. It's this, I don't know. I haven't worked out the details, but this is like an alternative Samantha.
You're going to workshop this and you'll get this out to the internet
it's going to be a graphic novel, a week or two. I think. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, Maureen's mother wanted to be a ballet dancer and it didn't work out for her. So she's, putting her daughter in it. And Maureen gradually realizes it's sort of portrayed as when she got to know Jim, she was like, there's more to life than ballet.
Right. Because, there's a moment where she's like, how much of what you like about me has to do with ballet? And he doesn't say, but his answer is
clearly
almost certainly nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing about what I like about you has anything to do with ballet.
Yeah, I like you. And she is bulimic to some small degree. It's not, we'd see her throw up twice. Hear her throw up twice, more like it. And it's at one point she mentions to her mother that she's throwing up what she eats, and her mother says, "You watch your weight. There's nothing wrong with that."
That's just normal.
Wow. Okay, we can't blame ballet for this. This is your mother 100%. This was like a precursor to the Bad Mom Ballet Club that we saw in Black Swan. Like this is not a good mother figure. But long story, Maureen decides she doesn't want to do ballet anymore, and she happens to be good at it, but she doesn't love it. And at the end, somebody says to her, "Are you okay?" And she says, "Not really, but I will be." And Jim says, "You will be," and gives her a hug. And I'm like, "Oh, that's very sweet." Jim's a good guy.
Sure. I mean, he exists in this movie solely so that she can have an arc that isn't just she's the top girl and that they're all trying to beat.
Yeah, she's the ice queen. Yeah. So, and also he's a good boyfriend when we need some good boyfriends in this because there's some bad boyfriends. Eva's arc, just to fill in the Maureen part. Eva has a stank attitude the entire time and gets on the bad side of all the teachers. But Maureen knows that she's very good. And then at the end, there's this workshop that everyone's supposed to dance in at the end of the year. This is roughly an academic year, I think. There's not a lot of...
Her parents say what you've been up to for the last year. So,
and it's a big workshop that's supposed to show them off to companies and help get them job offers and whatever. And Maureen has a lead role. Eva is in the chorus, which apparently is like career death to be in the chorus. Come back to that. And at the last minute, Maureen says, "Hey, Eva, do you want to take my part? I don't want to do this anymore." And Eva's like, "Yeah, I'm not stupid. Sure."
Yeah. Well, she doesn't say that. That is
One
revealed.
assumes, yes.
That conversation happened.
Yeah.
But we're not privy to it.
Yeah.
We just there's just a reveal that it's not Maureen.
This is extremely at the last minute. Everybody is in makeup, getting in costume. I mean, we're talking like 45 minutes before curtain. So how Eva fit into the costume, learn the choreography, what they did for the part that she was supposed to have, hand wave.
Right.
Don't ask about that.
Don't be concerned about that.
No, but Eva blows everybody away, and she eventually gets the spot in the ballet company that everybody was vying for. There were only 3 spots, and she gets one of them because they're like, "Okay, don't ever do that again." But you were amazing, so we'll forgive your stank attitude of this year and come. So that's Eva's arc, and that's how Maureen's and Eva's fit together. So back to Jody. Oh, Jody.
Honestly, this character is just all over the place. This feels like they wrote. They had 3 characters, and they were like, "This is too many characters. What if we put all of these arcs into her?" Because she goes on such a journey, and there's just she turns on a dime at one point, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
Proceed.
Yeah, so she's naive in the big city, wide-eyed, innocent blonde, and right when she gets there, she meets Cooper Nielsen, who is the principal dancer of the company. Doesn't have anything to do with the school. And you know he's bad right away because he rides a motorcycle and is wearing leather.
Right. He's just like the most just ham-handed.
Yeah.
How can we make this, let them know this guy's a bad boy? Oh, well, just put him in a leather jacket. Yeah. He rides a motorcycle. So there you go.
That's all you need, really. That's, just like have the gay man love Oprah. That's right. That's enough.
And also just go over the top with everything he does.
And comment on how cute every every man is. Charlie is really cute, by the way.
Sure, whatever.
Charlie's on this watching, I feel like he's a little bit too good to be true, but he is very cute.
He is so just the whole thing. I don't know.
You don't like Charlie?
No, Charlie's fine. Just he's just. I don't know. I don't get, like, he needs to like man up and just be like, "Hey, I like you." Lady.
Kind of. Well,
because he tries to at one point, but he's waited too long. He's
very proper. He, by the way, was, if you like ballet series, he was in a miniseries on Stars a couple years ago called Flesh and Bone, and I don't remember much about it, but as I recall, his character was not such a good guy there. So if you like that actor, if you like looking at him, find that somewhere. That was gritty. That was not
it was a gritty ballet movie.
Yeah,
a gritty dance movie. Or was it actually ballet?
It was actually ballet. It was okay. Everybody was in a company, and it's
cool. Yeah,
I enjoyed it. I would watch it again.
I like Black Swan. Like, I think you can do.
Yeah, it was that level.
You can do gritty ballet.
Well, and I think that's what appeals to a lot of people about behind the scenes at a ballet company.
Oh yeah.
Because it's beautiful, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of stuff propping up that beauty. Like, it's physically taxing. There's a lot of, just the idea of how do you stand on point in your shoes? Like, just of all. And it's at the beginning of center stage before their first class at the academy, there's this series of shots of people doing stuff to their shoes and their tights and various things to get them in shape. Now, this time I was like, why did you not do that last night? You're taking a lighter to your shoes in the middle of your dance space. Like, get it together.
I wonder if they're getting them for the first time. Like, this is day one of class, and they're just like, you don't bring your own shoes. We give you the shoes.
Okay.
But that was cool. And that's like, that's a scene that's in every sports movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's in, every war movie, action war movie. It's the person getting themselves ready. They're putting, in a football movie, they're putting tape on their hands. They're like, getting their helmet ready, and they're, putting little black, the eye black.
Yeah.
Like this is just that, like, but they're getting their shoes ready. And I did think it was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how accurate it is, but yeah, seeing them like rough up the bottoms of the shoes and like that they all did their own little different thing.
That's what I like about it is, yes, some people like, padding between their toes. Some wrap their toes together. Some do this, some do that. And some of it is for, injury and preference and whatever. But yeah, I kind of like seeing, how the sausage is made, essentially, of this beautiful, ethereal thing that we see. There is a point later where, to show you that Jodie's been working really hard, they have her, she's taken off her shoes and looking at her feet, and she's got some blisters and sores and stuff. And I was like, I've seen some pictures of dancers' feet, and those actually look pretty good. Right. I don't think that's as bad as we're supposed to think it is.
Yeah,
but
I mean, and I wonder if it's like, by now her feet are used to it, so she shouldn't get blisters or anything.
Yeah,
but
possibly.
Like she's working so hard that even her calluses have blisters. Like she's worn through her blisters or something.
Yeah, this is like extra. Yeah,
that I don't know. Like I said,
but yeah. So Jodie from the beginning is not. She thought she was great. She's not great. Yeah, she's gone from being a big fish in a little pond to a small fish in a huge pond.
Yeah, at the beginning, Jonathan gives this like pep talk, quote unquote pep talk, where he's like, how many of you were the best in your class before you came here? Yeah, okay, well that's
that's done.
Get ready for a rude awakening, basically.
Sorry.
And I think that's cool because that's something that a lot of people experience at one time in their life or another, where they go from like, I was the smartest person in the smart person class, and now I'm just raising your hand right there. I know.
That's
and then you just like, oh crap.
Everybody's smart here. I can't skate by anymore. And you wonder, is the reason that she supposedly has these bad feet and not the ideal body type or whatever, and still is doing it today? Was she just at a school or in a very small town where nobody recognized how much better she should be? And they were just like, well, you're better than anyone else, so I guess you're great. Like, yeah,
like the best high school football player in North Carolina is doesn't even make the team in Texas.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. Like, like you're good, but man, if you were in New York City or New York State or just California or anywhere near the hubs of this, you would be average at best.
Yeah. So, and that is really a rude awakening.
But look at her.
Right. But you can't take your eyes off her. Well, sometimes the reason you can't take your eyes off somebody is because they suck.
They're really bad. You're
it's like a train wreck.
I can't put my finger on this, but I just can't look away.
Yeah. So, but she's working very hard, as evidenced by, I think she's in the studio at night. Like,
this is after she's like they make this real big show of every class, them going like, Jodie, your feet. Put your feet out. You got your thing wrong. Do this.
I feel like a lot of the teachers here are they've never had to work with anyone who really needs help, because that is not how you do it, right?
Sure.
You say, okay, I don't know, we're going to meet later to go over this. You don't embarrass somebody in front of the class. Like she's not in a headspace to understand all this. And at one point, Eva, who is very good and doesn't need any extra correction, explodes and is like, stop talking to her like that. She heard you. We all heard you. She's working hard. Like, cut it out, and gets kicked out of class. But like, she's right. That's not how you teach somebody, and don't continually draw attention to her deficiencies. The other thing,
that's a method of teaching, right? There are those, and I mean that's something that you see in a lot of boot camp movies. Like you draw attention to the person who's the weakest link, and highlight the fact, and they do this in this movie, that you are making the whole class suffer because of your incompetency, and you need to. So it's this toxic way of motivating people.
Like,
that just
it is toxic. Yeah. I mean, and I can see how, like if only the mentally tough can do it. But like, I don't know. I just think that's
I'm
crappy.
There. It is crappy.
I also noticed later on. So they're all practicing for this workshop later, and the instructors say things like, "You'll fly more if it's from the heart." What does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't know what to do with that. I cannot stand critiques like that. Give me something actionable.
You've got to feel it.
Yeah.
Like, what is feel what?
You've got to have the ganas. Yeah, I don't, or like the closest good advice that anybody said was Jonathan was like, I need to see the movement, not the effort behind it, which I sort of kind of know what to do with that.
Yeah, there is a point where he's criticizing Maureen, and he's like, you make it look like work.
Yeah.
And I think that is a thing that all these sorts of beautiful things, even not beautiful things like football. When someone's doing it at a really high level, it looks effortless. You know, when I was growing up, like, it didn't look like Michael Jordan had to do anything to dunk a basketball.
Yeah.
He just floated and it looked so effortless. And that has to be like crazy to figure out, you know, that you're so good that you don't even really have to try to make it look, you make it look easy without meaning to.
But that's
so
because
good.
you've been working on it for 10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah, an incalculable amount of effort's been put in prior to that.
Yeah. So with that one good, and I would say that's a helpful piece of advice, but still I'm like, okay, but what about, you know, but all the other teaching that we see, I'm just like, you don't know how to work with someone who really needs your help. This is all you can do. You give people exercises and you say, good job, forward on the heel, Fran. And then that's all you have. So I question if these are really good teachers or they just always happen to have good students.
Yeah.
And so Jody at one point is so frustrated with everything at the ballet that she goes and finds a gritty dance class in another studio. You assume this is in
dance class.
You assume this is in like Brooklyn because this is a very motley.
We're in Red Hook here,
crew.
You know, like we are. You don't go down here.
No. Well, and there's even, she says, I'm not supposed to take classes in other places. Like, I am very sure they do not want you going to this class at all because there's not a dress code. People are eating. Oh my God, they're eating donuts.
Oh, it's crazy.
What? You know, and there are some people who definitely don't have the ideal body type.
Yeah. I
did notice somebody, I've never noticed her before, but on this view I saw somebody way in the back. She's like my age and she's a little plump and she looks like she was like, I'm going to take a dance class. And she went and got a leotard and tights just for the occasion. And she just looks, she's very like, she's working very hard.
Yeah.
So, but even she is welcome at this studio. And it's this kind of modern dance stuff. They do a dance to a Red Hot Chili Peppers cover of Stevie Wonder, which I enjoy watching. But it turns out Cooper takes classes at this place too.
Of course he does, because he's edgy.
Because he's a rebel. He rode his motorcycle there.
Yes.
And here too, Jody has this effect of she's amazing. You can't take her eyes off her. And I guess, you know, the technique is not quite as critical. They don't care about her bad feet.
Right.
But yeah, Cooper recognizes her and realizes who she is and points her out to one of his scruffy dancer buddies. And the guy's like, oh, she's amazing. Whoa, you know, whatever. And they're leaving the studio and Cooper's talking to the dance teacher in the hallway and he's telling her that he gets to choreograph something for the student workshop that they're going to have at the academy and blah, blah, blah. She's congratulating him. Jody walks between them and says, you know, okay, thanks, good class, you know, and does not look at Cooper, which good for you, girl. Don't be so thirsty. Like, we know that she thinks Cooper is dreamy, but like, let him come to you. And Cooper very unsubtly says, oh, good class, gotta go.
Right, yeah.
And the teacher gives this great eye roll, like, oh, okay, I'm sure.
The next conquest.
Right, yeah. Like, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
I'll never see her again now. So, and
she never does.
No. And it's hard to tell. So my eternal question in this movie is Cooper really a bad guy or is this just a misunderstanding? Because he compliments her on her dancing and says, you know, hey, let's go have dinner. She says, I already had dinner. Let's go have dessert. And she's kind of like, oh, what?
Dessert.
You know, and they get on the motorcycle and they show up at his apartment and he's very complimentary.
Yeah.
And then immediately he's kissing her and they've slept together.
Yeah.
It will not surprise you to learn that this meant nothing to him.
Right. She's now dating him, but for him, he's like, whatever.
Yeah. He thinks this was just a one night stand. And sorry to bring up my past.
Right.
I've had situations like this where you think, well, clearly he's interested in me as a person because why would he do this otherwise? And then he really was not.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm giving myself and Jody some grace in this at this point, you know, many, many years after these events. I think I don't know. I feel like this is why I can never, if anything happens to us, I can't date because I just don't have the same expectations as anybody else anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like if you are just looking for a one night stand, you need to make that clear, and you need to be really sure that the other person's on the same page as you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like he's maybe not evil, but he's just kind of douchey.
Well, and he doesn't tell her either way, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing I was fully expecting like cut to after the event and for him to just be like, get out or whatever. Because that would have at least been like a clearer character, because it is effectively, she figures this out, but it takes some time.
It takes her a very long time.
Yeah.
Like I wish that someone had said to her, "Oh, honey, no, this is no, come over."
But we've already set him up as yes. as a philanderer or whatever, because so one of the things with this is that he broke up with.
She broke up with him.
Sure, she broke up with him. Sorry, to marry the Jonathan, the owner or the guy who runs the place.
Well, that's the weird thing. Yeah, as far as we know, Kathleen, who is one of the principal dancers in the company, and Cooper were a thing. And then all of a sudden, Kathleen's like, "Oh, I'm dumping you. I'm marrying Jonathan. We've been going at it this whole time."
Right.
Which is. So in that, Cooper's the wrong party.
Right. But then they say that he went to London and he's been sleeping with everything that moves and drinking, being drunk, going out and partying.
Frankly, is fine. Not my cup of tea, but fine, as long as everybody knows that's what it is.
Right. Well, and Jodie knows, because she's one of the ones that overhears this. So she, again, this is just more of the...
This is how she's naive, remember?
Right, exactly.
She's from Indiana.
Yeah, the innocent girl who doesn't understand that... Yeah.
Well, because you always think, oh, I'm special.
Oh, yeah.
He sees me. He values me. And so, I feel like the worst that we can say about Jodie here is that she is naive and falls for romantic BS very easily, which frankly, when you are 20, 21, 22, that and if you don't fall for those things, you are really jaded in a way that I am sad
already
for that
too early
age.
Before your time.
Yeah.
The thing with Cooper is he evil? Is he the bad guy or not? Like, I don't know. 1 minute to the next, he is and he isn't, because his entire arc is just basically like, he's the bad guy, then he's not, then he's the bad guy, then he's not, then he's the bad guy, then he's not. So at the end, I don't think I have a solid answer, because even at the end of the movie, he's like, "Oh, let's get back together, Jodie," and she's just like, "Nah," and then he's immediately happy for her.
Well, but he's not even doing that. Like, he's offering. So we'll get back to this. He is starting his own ballet company, and he asks her to be a principal dancer, and then he goes to kiss her in a way that's very romantic and like deep feelings behind this. But like, we've seen you. I know this is not what you want. I don't
right. And this time she recognizes it and she says no, but then and then she goes to her true love, Charlie. But then he's immediately like, "Cool, all right,
here's Jodie the dancer.
Yeah, she's great, and
she has bad feet, but we don't care."
We don't care. Yeah, so it's just, he is so like, he has no consistency. He is, again, he feels like he's three characters.
Yeah. Well,
written into one.
Can I say something that I think is hysterical? So, so Cooper lost his girlfriend to his boss, essentially, and still has to work with a girlfriend, which, even if you are a douche, that is challenging. So, sympathy for him there. So early in the movie, there's a benefit, and Jonathan, his boss and his ex's new husband, comes and says, "Hey, Cooper, we have a potential benefactor. She has $2 million. She's a widow. She adores you. Come sweet talk her," basically. So she will donate to the company and keep it afloat. And Cooper is like, "Well, why does that feel wrong?" And Jonathan's like, "Shut up and just, whatever." Well, and she thinks he's dreamy. I mean, she's not wrong. He is attractive. And at some point, Jodie is walking and bumps into this lady and pushes her into Cooper's arms and just, oh, I'm so sorry. And the lady's like, "Oh, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine." So we learn later that Cooper has been keeping in touch with this older lady, and he invites her to a rehearsal and various things. And Jonathan later says to Cooper, "Why are you doing this? She's not interested in the company at all now. All she can talk about is you." And Cooper's like, "Well, I got the girl this time," which I sort of like. That's a really cocky thing to do, but I like the tables turned there.
Yeah, and you get the idea that he is using her as much as she's using him. Yes, there's a part where they get his show that he's choreographing gets coverage in the newspaper, and Jonathan is like, we don't invite press to the rehearsals, and he's like, oh, I didn't, I don't know, and I took that as his benefactor.
He just told Joan, and she's doing it because
she was invited to one of the practices, and then I think she just used her connections to get press coverage for his performance.
And this is a case where, I mean, you could, in some other movies, it would be like either a cougar situation, or he was using her for her money and they were having a relationship and then he's going to trick her out of it or whatever. Yeah. But she at one point says, oh, he's being nice to an old lady. So I think it really is just,
she kind of gets it.
Maybe she likes being flirted with, but he's not. She's pretty well aware of what's happening. So I'm fine with that. Yeah. So good, go use your money for hot, sketchy dancers to form their own company. I think say goodbye to your money. I don't think it's going to go well, but.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know,
well, he's hiring everybody with bad feet, and then everybody from the Gritty Dance Studio.
Gritty Dance Studio, right? Yeah. The mustache guy that he was like, check her out. Yeah. Mustache guy is there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so this workshop. Can we talk about this for a second? I don't understand the logic behind this. So this is like a, senior year, basically, end of, you're done with this, okay.
Yeah, this is the thing that they are all leading up to. This is the Battle of the Bands. It's the ski competition. This is the whole movie is to get them to this.
And every major ballet company in the country is going to be there and see everybody dance. And your ability to get a job offer depends on how you do in this.
And being featured and whatnot.
And if you don't do well in this, you won't get a job.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Eva at some point is cast in the core of one of there's 3, ballets in this. Eva is in the core of one of them. And she says, oh, no one will see me and I'll never get a job. Here's my question.
Yeah.
There's 2 leads in that, 1 male, 1 female.
Yeah.
There's 1 lead in the first one that the character Anna gets.
Right.
And then there's 3 leads in the third one that Jody and Charlie and Eric are in. That's 6.
Yeah.
6 chances to get a job.
Well,
and nobody else. If this is all about dance well so companies see you so you get a job, don't have so many people in the core. This is really poor logic. I don't understand.
I think more than anything, it's like because they say that this school has 3 openings, and then we don't know how many other schools or openings. Oh, hi. That we've been visited by our cat.
The cat's here, so apologies if anything weird technically goes on.
Bouncing around on the table here.
Yeah.
So I don't know how many jobs are at stake, but spoiler alert, everybody gets a job. Every character that we know.
Well, every character that we know, yes. Not, girl who comes out of the room with her mascara running.
Yeah. But yeah, every character effectively that needed a happy ending got one.
Sure. But you can imagine there are some people who are like, well, I saw you in the core, but you didn't do anything really.
Yeah, it is. Again, it's an inefficient way to show off these people's talents.
Yes.
But it almost feels like the school doesn't care because they're really only interested in filling their 3 spots.
Well,
so
maybe.
they're putting the best dancers into the spotlight so that they can have the pick of the litter. So
maybe, or I guess like if you're not good enough to get a lead in the workshop ballets, then
you were never going to make it at this school. And they don't really care if another place wants to take the leftovers, sure, whatever.
Maybe.
But sure. You're just another face in the crowd if you're in the core or whatever. So I get the idea, but this could be designed better.
Very much. So I talked about Anna. Anna is one of my favorite minor characters in this because she is so full of herself.
Yeah.
And she probably knows it and doesn't really care. She's very entertaining in her inflated opinion of herself. She's my favorite line of hers. So she has the lead in one of the ballets, and when they're done, they're going off stage, and she says, "Did you see how on I was?"
Yeah.
To her other fellow dancers who have core roles, who, as we've established, it's going to be harder for them to get a job, and this is rubbing their nose in it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just like, you are a terrible person. And you are so entertaining.
Yes.
I would watch a show about you all day long.
Yeah. Anna also the one that I was most likely to mix up with Jody for the first 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
because they're both just short-haired blondes, short-ish, but their hair is up all the time, so it doesn't matter. I think they actually have long hair, but
they do.
Yeah,
they do.
they're both just miscellaneous blonde girl.
Yeah,
and it's I've more than once mistook one for the other.
Yeah. The other Anna moment I like is they're doing a routine in class and they're being observed. This is right before they were cast for the workshop, and they're supposed to do a double pirouette, and she does a triple. And the first time the teacher's like, no, just a double. She said, and Anna's like, oh, I thought there was enough music for 3. No, just do 2. And then she does it again, does a triple. Wouldn't it be better if we all did a triple? And the teacher's like, no.
Yeah, do what I say.
Stop it. And you see this side conversation between some of the teachers who are just like, no, nice trying to impress us. It's not going to work. Like, do the instructions. Don't try to improve upon it. That cracks me up.
She gets a weird amount of screen time for, like, her character doesn't get to do enough, but the stuff that is there for her is like, why? Okay, cool. Well, why?
She's just, I wouldn't call her quirky. I feel like ballet dancers in general are a little bit too polished to be quirky, but she is quirky as ballet goes. And she cracks me up. So
yeah. So okay, so we've got we're this is a weird one to cover because there's a lot of people. So what do we got? We got everybody. So again, like I said, everybody's heading for this workshop. That's the whole. And there's trials and tribulations in the meantime. And we've cast these roles for our workshop performances.
So Marian is the lead in the middle ballet. She, and then this other dancer Sergey is her male lead, and it's, I guess this is technically beautiful, but someone at one point says to Jonathan choreographed
this is his
someone says, what is this about? And he says, the music, things that are not of this world. And Eva, of course, has a big eye roll, and I'm like, yes, Eva, I agree. What does that? That's similar to, dance from the heart. I don't know what that means. That's a terrible, but it's lovely. So, whatever.
Yeah. It just read like this is supposed to be the stodgy, like
pretty much
traditional ballet to juxtapose with Cooper's
and can we talk about
hip street dance?
Cooper's ballet. Oh boy.
So his ballet is effectively just retelling the story of him and Jonathan and what was the other lady's name? Kathleen. Yeah, he's like, he pitches it and he's like, oh, there's a ballet teacher and he's infatuated with a student, but there's a bad boy comes along and she's pulled away by him, and blah, blah, blah.
And even the students then are like, what?
They're all like rolling their eyes.
What?
So, but the funny thing is, there's obviously, Charlie gets cast in the Jonathan role.
Yeah.
And Jody gets cast in the other lady's role.
Yeah.
And Gay Eric gets cast in the Cooper role.
Yes.
And when you actually see this happen,
there's no way could Eric do this.
The actual performance, there's no way that this would have worked with Eric in this role. There's no way.
There's a part where Eric and Jody are rehearsing and Cooper's like, no, Eric, it's about sex. And you're like, Eric doesn't want to have sex with Jody.
Right. Like, but also that shows like, I don't know. I think they do make a point of saying like Cooper just casts the people who were the best dancers, so to speak, in the roles. Yeah. But Eric is not the guy you want to feel.
No. Well, I think Cooper is, at some point, Jody says, oh, Cooper, you're a great choreographer. And I'm like, well, maybe the final product was lovely. I don't think he's actually very good because he keeps changing his mind on what to do. Like the first day of rehearsals, he's like, okay, you do this, and how about this, and how about this? And I don't know, I'm not a dancer. Maybe there is some of that, but I think he's pretty terrible in this.
Maybe, I don't know. But this whole thing this is when I talk about like the Charlie character being just kind of in and out for me. Like I like him and I don't like him. Like there's this whole thing where they have a dance off during practice because Cooper's like, oh, and then Charlie, you run off and you do this, and he jumps up and does whatever,
and they keep one-upping each other.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, I think it'd be cooler if I change it up like this, and he's like, no, you should just do this. And I feel like it's undersold, but there's a moment in this,
I was hoping you noticed that
battle where Cooper does a thing and it's like a bunch of spins and crazy stuff, and basically Charlie is kind of like, he doesn't do it back,
Yeah.
and he's like, okay, I'll work on that.
Yeah.
And then in the performance,
Yes.
he does it, and Cooper's like, oh,
Yeah. No,
yeah, he did it.
I love that part.
He did
yeah.
the thing.
I was hoping you noticed that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, I feel like it didn't get quite enough. It would be easy to miss.
Yeah.
It would be really easy to miss. But yeah, there's like this, and again, it's all so sort of right at the surface because it's a thing about Cooper and Jonathan, but it turns into a thing about Charlie and Cooper and Jody, you know, because they're literally, by the end, it's the two of them literally fighting over her. Yeah. In the, not literally fist punching, but in the ballet fist fighting.
It's very story within a story.
Yeah. So it's
I do enjoy that part. And Cooper's like, oh well, this guy might have something. Well,
this guy's good.
Yeah.
Just like it's just one of those things where the rivals look at each other. It's like at the end of Talladega Nights, you know, Ricky Bobby and tries to kiss him. You know,
beaten by the best.
Finally, I can rest. Like it's like that. It's like, oh, this kid's good. All right, you're not a joke after all. It's just
the student has become the master.
It's
okay. So this ballet,
right?
Like,
the cool street ballet.
What? I mean, there are multiple. The way that it's shot, it's all in one. It's like, I don't know, 7-10 minutes long.
Yeah,
there are multiple set changes.
Oh yeah.
Costume changes. But the way it's shot, like, this is physically impossible.
Yeah. At a point, you said that to me, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then, like, 2 minutes later, all of a sudden, they snapped, and they were in different clothes and on a different set.
Different color shoes. Yeah. Hair is elaborately styled. I mean, like, it's hysterical. And, you know, whatever. It's movie magic. It's fine. But
yeah, because there was a point, like, when you said that, I kind of understood what you meant, but I was also thinking, like, you know, I did musical theater in high school, and I was behind the scenes.
You have quick changes. Happens.
Yeah, you just like, okay, there was a cut there, and all of a sudden they were in different clothes. But yeah, that's just you just cut that. Like, they run off stage and do a quick change, and you do a quick change of the, you know, and you're back. And it's like,
in view of the audience all of a sudden.
And then there are parts in it that are obviously choreographed for the camera and not the audience, because there's this part where they're both fighting over her, and she slips down out of frame. Yeah. And then she goes behind the dance line and then pops back up.
Like, what did the audience
If you were
see?
sitting in the audience, you just saw her like crawl on her hands and knees.
That's not ballet.
Right. Yeah. It's 100% just choreographed for the frame, you know. So, and also they play the Napoleon Dynamite song.
Yes. Yeah. I enjoy it. It is cheesy and it would never be done.
He rides in on a motorcycle.
Yes.
Like,
well, with The Way You Make Me Feel played in the background. I was trying to remember, in 2000, did we know that Michael Jackson was as problematic as we do now? He was still alive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I think there have been rumors.
I think, and I think that stuff all still seems so out for debate, because it's used. One documentary gets released and he's a pedophile, and the next one gets released and he's just just
damaged,
full of, he's damaged and full of childlike wonderment, and
both could be true.
Yeah. So but at the time, like, he was probably on the other side of at this point, maybe.
But so the first number is to The Way You Make Me Feel, and then the final one is a Jamiroquai, the Napoleon Dynamite one, and it's I just really enjoy it. This would be fun. We talked when we watched the paper. We talked about, don't watch this with a journalist because they're going to nitpick everything. I would love to watch this with a dance person.
Oh yeah.
What is truly the behind the scenes nitpicking? Yeah. So
so he pulls off the performance, and everybody loves it. And of course, at first as it's happening, you get the idea that Jonathan hasn't seen this show.
No, why?
Or anything. Why? And he you see him and the lady slowly realizing, I don't know why I can't remember the lady's name.
Kathleen.
Oh,
Kathleen.
Like, slowly realizing this is about them.
Can I a moment about Kathleen for a second? Yeah. I love Eva's line about Kathleen. So we see Kathleen early in the movie walking through the school, and Maureen and Anna who have been there before know who she is and just like
Yeah.
adore her and everything. And she smiles and is like a queen, noblesse oblige to the peasants.
Hello,
like,
hello.
hello. She doesn't say hi to Emily, by the way. Foreshadowing. We're going to get to that, Emily, in a second. Poor Emily. And they're like, oh, she's so beautiful. And Eva says, well, I think she kind of looks like a gerbil.
Yeah.
I don't know
Sure.
how she looks like a gerbil, but just the delivery cracks me up every time. And then they're all aghast. What? She does.
She's
And
beautiful.
I'm just like, speak truth to power, Eva. Good for you. I think Kathleen is, lovely, but not beautiful.
Sure. She carries herself
Yes. She does.
like she's a queen.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Kathleen and Jonathan realize this is about them. And it's nice. Everyone in the audience is standing up and they realize they have to stand up too.
Right.
And you can see Jonathan say to her, clap.
Yeah. Like they have to do
So,
it.
and it's very unenthusiastic clapping, but they're technically was clapping.
Yeah.
We didn't mention, by the way, so yeah, Eric was cast in this, but the day before,
Sorry.
it was rehearsing and he somehow came down wrong and sprained his ankle.
Yeah.
So Cooper says, Jonathan says, put the understudy in. He can't, and Cooper's like, the understudy's not good enough. I'm going to do it. Why is he the understudy if he's not good enough for this? That is how you choose understudies.
Right.
Like they are, 95% of what you need.
I guess maybe he wasn't progressing at the level. I don't know. Or he couldn't bring the passion that Eric could bring.
He didn't know about sex the way Eric does. I don't know. Yeah. So Cooper says he's
got to do it. Yeah. So he ends up in the literal love triangle.
Yes.
Production.
So, yeah. And Jody is. Something happens with Jody. Some switch sort of flips.
Yeah, this is what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah. So then, the night before, she's like, I can't dance with Cooper. And Eva, who at this point has heard the story, says, why? Because he dumped you? Like, he didn't dump her. They were never, but okay.
Right.
No, because he's the best
he's great
dancer ever. Well, okay.
Yeah.
But then the next day, they're doing warm-ups and stuff. And she's, by the way, she's in a makeup and hair combination that we never see in the actual ballet, but whatever.
Sure.
That's my continuity person. And he comes and he's like, and I really need you to do better on this and this and this. And she's like, oh, I know. Finally, Cooper, I know.
Yeah,
which is the closest she gets to telling him to shut the fuck up
right.
in the whole thing. And I don't know where that came from, but yeah, more of that, Jody. You're fun when you are.
Yeah, she gets a spine and also gets like a attitude. Like she gets like, I don't know if it's beyond self-confidence. Like she gets like cocky because again, she's been the girl who's not good enough.
Yeah.
Because she has all these bad things about her and, and presumably is not necessarily headed for great things. And then she finds her confidence like overnight and like to kind of too much of it.
Yeah, and I don't know if her dancing can back it up, but
right. Yeah. So yeah, we've
yeah. Well, I think we talked before about this. It's really difficult for people who are actually very good at something to portray being not good at something.
Oh yeah.
So since the actor who plays Jody is a professional ballet dancer, it's hard to look at her and be like, oh, I see why she's not very good. Like,
yeah. And I'm sure especially the points when they're critiquing her form and stuff, like I bet in reality her form is so far off that any real dancer would be like, oh my God, that's a first year student type thing.
Right.
Like there's no way this girl got this far with form that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. That she's having to over exaggerate it so much so that lay people like us can see like, oh yeah, she's not that great.
Well, and still I'm just like, I don't know. She can dance on point.
Because at that point it would be like, she'd be off by 2 degrees and they would be like, it's not good enough. Yeah. And you would be imperceptible to a non-expert. Yes. Yeah. But she's got to be like, her feet are at a 45-degree angle, when they're supposed to be at a 0 or whatever.
I can see when she's doing the first position feet. I can see that she's not at 180 degrees. She's at like, I don't know, 150 or something. Like I can see that. That's the only thing that I notice about her.
Yeah, and I feel like even that's over exaggerated to a point where like she would actually be at like 177. Yeah. And they would be like, oh, she's so bad. Yeah. She's never going to make it. Yeah. Because she can't be perfect. Yeah. 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 But yeah, we've got the big workshop. We covered the Cooper ballet. Have we talked enough about the Jonathan ballet?
Earlier you said stuffy. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
100%.
I'm sure it's lovely.
Yeah.
It also seems kind of boring.
Yeah. And this is the one where the reveal happens that Eva has taken Maureen's role in the lead role in this by just, a hand extends and that's too dark to be Maureen's hand.
Yes.
And then,
Sergei has this, like, he's right up on her and then he notices who it is.
You could see her the whole time.
From 10 feet away.
Right. The idea here is this ballet starts with them on opposite sides of the stage effectively, and all the different ballet chorus members. Oh, yeah, all between them, and they do like, crazy hand motions as he's walking through.
Kind of like when the married couple walks through the canopy of swords.
And he's not acknowledging anything. He's not acknowledging anybody. He's so fixated on her, and he's going to her. And then when he gets to the end, he's like, hey, it's not the same lady.
Yeah, and his eyes are like, what?
You could have seen that. You saw that literally the whole time. Yes. You were looking directly at her.
And then you cut to the other perspective and you see her, and behind her, the stage manager is freaking out. Like, she was standing next to you for several minutes.
Was there supposed to just be nobody there and then she popped in? Because weren't you freaking out that nobody was there?
Like, was Maureen right there? And then Eva was like, I'm going to knock you out and take it. Like, I don't.
Which we know that she wasn't, because she's fully dressed and outside at this point. Yeah, it's just all very weird. And then she does her dance and she's great and perfect and everyone loves it, and she comes into her own, and everybody gives her respect, and
and she gets to join the company, and
and then she gets she gets into the company, and Anna gets into,
and you don't know who the third one, and then
Eric gets in.
Eric and Charlie.
Yeah.
And then we don't know who the third boy and the third girl is.
Yeah. And Eric is just, I guess, that good.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't even perform, and he has a sprained ankle.
Yeah.
And he still gets in just off of his machismo or something. I don't know.
Or to put, as he described it, they're hiring head cases and cripples.
Yeah.
And can I just point out, he said cripples.
Yeah.
No one else did.
Yeah. No.
That's
So that's Eva's coming out party, and she's you get the idea that there's a sequel to this where she's waking up the stodgy button down ballet industry.
She's kind of the Misty Copeland of.
I don't know.
Misty Copeland is a ballerina. I think she's still dancing. She's black and she's amazing, and she, I think, has opened up a lot of people's eyes to different skin tones for sure, and body types in ballet. So,
okay.
And there's this on these credit scenes of everybody in their respective dance companies. So that's where you find out where everybody ends up. And at that point, she and Jonathan are kind of joking together, and like everything's fine. And I'm like, what happened there? But okay, sure.
Yeah.
It was a good day. The next day, they're going to be back to hating each other. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the big arc that we didn't necessarily tie up as well as Maureen.
Yeah.
Yeah. She, as you alluded to earlier, she has this big scene with her mom, and it's this whole, it's, I don't want your life.
Yeah, pretty much.
But it is very interesting, because as a parent, this is something that I really worry about.
Yeah.
Our son is not good at anything. I don't mean it like that. He is not a prodigy. He's not like he has not been identified as, like, he didn't sit down at a piano and just have perfect pitch and start playing it. He didn't go out on the soccer field and show a huge aptitude for that. He is by all measures completely average, and doesn't excel at any one particular thing.
Yeah, he has things that he has learned to be good at and has talents, but never, not a prodigy.
Yeah, if you want some advice on Gary's Mod, I got a kid for you.
He will, all about it, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's, an amazing kid, as you heard in the last episode.
Yes.
But yeah, so I was so happy to not have to worry about that, to not have to be like, oh, your son's shown an aptitude for art. We need to get him immediately into this art program that will help him, achieve his full potential. In the way that Maureen did. Like, not only was Maureen's mom obviously she's a failed ballerina. She makes the comment, you didn't have the feet for it, and I don't have the heart for it. But did not have to worry about that. Like, oh my God, am I committing my kid to essentially a lifetime, or even just through their entire teens and into their 20s? Am I committing them to something that, like Maureen, they are good at but don't love?
Yeah. Well, what's funny though, I sometimes worry, what if there is this talent that he has that we don't know about because we were derelict and didn't try him in all these different sports, didn't send him to music lessons, art lessons, this and that, and he's going to discover at age like 25, oh my gosh, I would be really good at basketball. Why did you never put me in basketball?
Okay, we need to set this kid down at a piano at least. Yeah. And just make sure that he's not Beethoven reincarnated or something.
But I am a little, I understand what you're talking about. I am a little relieved that there's not this path that's presenting itself that we have to, go down or risk, ruining everything.
We didn't have to decide for him.
Right. Especially because, and you mentioned soccer. Mm-hmm. When soccer in particular, I think a lot of sports, but soccer is the one that we've experienced, is fun when kids started at like 3 and 4, but then kids get so intense about it. And we know families who have like 10-year-olds where they travel for games. And I'm talking like into another state and you have to spend the night type of travel, and tournaments that take all weekend and they don't have time for anything else. And I'm like, these kids are 10. What happened to, I played some sports in school, track and volleyball and softball, and I was not good at any of them. But there was room for me on my school teams because I just wanted to. Where is the space for that?
Right.
I
there's not a lot. There's not a lot of when you get to a certain age. It's no longer okay. We're taking this seriously now. It's no longer I don't know, run around in a circle out there, pulling on each other's shirts, and there's going to be 2 kids that really take it seriously, and they're going to have the ball 90% of the time.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fine.
It seems like the last time you can do that is like age 5, at least for soccer, at least around here. And it feels like you choose the thing that you're going to devote the rest of your life to before you can really tie your shoes. And that's just sad for me.
Yeah.
So just because they, and then there's no room for the kids who are just kind of, not great.
Yeah.
Don't really want to be super committed to it. But anyway, that's sort of another discussion.
Yeah.
But,
And I think that I think you can find that, but you have to do a lot more to seek it out. There are definitely like these, recreational style leagues that are explicitly saying, we're not serious about this. Just come on, we'll do. But I think you got to go so much further to seek that out than you do with the stuff where people are serious.
Which is really a shame. It ought to be the other way around.
Yeah. But I really,
anyway.
I like the conclusion of Maureen's arc because, she starts out as the cold, frigid queen of the school. And she ends up realizing that no matter how good she is at dance, it's never going to fulfill her. And in fact, she's killing herself literally with the bulimia and everything else that she's doing.
Well, you kind of wonder because, we see her throw up twice. We don't see her binging. We don't see her. You kind of notice that she's not. She's very careful about what she eats. Yeah. I wonder, does that magically go away when she doesn't dance anymore? Probably not. So there's,
very, very possibly.
Yeah. But at the end, in the credits, everyone else is dancing and you see her clearly in college in a classroom or hallway or whatever, holding books and looking happy. Where she spends a lot of the movie not looking happy at all. And she doesn't look happy when she's dancing, actually.
Yeah. No. And it's a good way of showing that, that the character's going to have an interesting arc. Because there's a part of this where she ends up, falling through a buffet table and has cake all over her face, and they all laugh at her, as she goes. They ride off in the sunset with the spots in the school, and she ends up at the worst school. I don't know. Yeah, I
don't know where you went with that. That was.
I'm thinking up like an end to an 80s teen movie where like. She, in
a less respectful take on it.
The bully ends up, flipping over and falling through a table full of cakes, and they all laugh at it in Biff style, ends up with manure all over her face, and they're all laughing at her, and happy days. Like it would have been easy. A lesser movie, as I guess I can say, would have had that arc for that character. Instead, they did something serious with it. Like, what if the person who's really good at this really doesn't like being good at it? Yeah. And is just doing it because they're really good at it.
Well, what's interesting? So when she's talking to her mom, she says something like, if I were happy dancing, I wouldn't be throwing up what I eat.
Sure.
Which is interesting in contrast to Emily, she's been at the school for a long time and she's good, but she has put on a little bit of weight.
Fat Emily.
Yeah. She's not fat. She
looks identical
I think she's a little plumper than some of the other ones, but not. I mean,
it's almost imperceptible.
She's not me. Let's say.
Right.
And at there one point, somebody says to her, "You should go see the nutritionist," which also not helpful. Like, are you telling me I need to lose 10 pounds? Okay, but just see the nutritionist.
Yeah, she can help you.
Yeah, unless the nutritionist is like, okay, get on the scale. Like, I don't know. But anyway. And Emily's been cast in the workshop, also in the core, the supposed career killer. And Jonathan eventually is like, no, you're too fat. You can't be in the workshop. And so Emily's like, okay, if I can't be in the workshop, then I quit. Like, I'm going home.
Yeah.
She's been fitted for a costume. No, she's been in rehearsals this whole time. I don't think she's in a costume, but like is, and you see, look, this joke at the beginning when Maureen notices that Emily has gained weight, or she says her pas de deux partner is going to need a crane to lift her. You never see her partner being like, oh, right. So this is not as much of a, but Emily says that Jonathan told her she doesn't take enough pride in her body, which is always a line that sticks with me. And I mentioned this to one of my friends one time, and they were like, well, yeah, that's to some people, if you are anything but perfectly thin, you don't take pride in your body. And I was like, that's, as a person who's never been thin ever, like I haven't always been overweight, but I've never been thin. Pride in your body does not have anything to do with keeping yourself thin to me, but
Would you also get the feeling when Jonathan says pride in your body, he means bulimia, like he means going to a place that it's not about being healthy. It's about being as thin as possible.
The notion of pride, I think, is different for what they're saying than when I am. And her mother, who's there to pick her up and take her home, says dancing used to make her happy and it doesn't anymore. And I wonder if you had said to Emily, I don't know, let's say 3 years ago, if you just throw up what you eat, you'll be thin and you can keep doing this thing that you love. Like, I feel like there are a lot of, dancers, whatever, gymnasts, who they do love this and they want to keep doing it. And their body is betraying them because puberty, because DNA, whatever. And so they do throw up to keep being able to do this.
Yeah.
So I get what Marian is saying, but I question that. I don't think that throwing up is the sign that this is not for you. So I don't know. I feel like the film's messages about body are a little superficial, I think. Like there's a point where Emily says, "Oh, Jonathan told me I was too fat." And her mother says, "You're not fat, you're beautiful." And I'm like, well,
yeah, like those two things don't
you can be both.
Yeah.
I don't, as a woman who I'm sure many people would call me fat, I don't think that I've never been, quote, thin. I've been not overweight, but I don't think that my beauty or lack thereof is determined solely by the number on the scale. It's not like you're beautiful and then you hit a number and then boom, you're not. Like so.
But we're also 20 years on, and I think this kind of stuff has been evolving for a while. You have even going too far in the other direction to the fit at any size kind of thing, which is dubious to me. But there is a whole swing back and forth, and and then also there's all of the stuff that comes with it being set in ballet, or it could be gymnastics or whatever, just a place where this is so important to the success.
Well, what's interesting, I've gotten into Instagram in the last year because I don't know why, I just have. Right. I don't post ever. I just look at other people's accounts.
Troll.
And I found, is that bad?
No.
No one wants to see pictures of my life.
No. I'm saying if you.
I don't comment either. I just look.
Okay, you don't.
No.
Okay, yeah, sure. I'm just
a looky-loo.
You're lurking.
I'm middle-aged looky-loo. Yep. But anyway, I follow this woman who, I think she lives in Tennessee. She's a dancer, ballet, and she is, like, you probably would call her fat. Like, she's, I don't know, my size approximately. I'm not going to give you numbers about my size, but
so we're going to be attaching a full head to toe photo of Marian to this. Just look in the description for a link to.
I shop in the plus size department for some things. Let's just say that. So, but she can do, like, she has videos of her. She can dance on point. She can do all these things, and I'm just like, you can be fat and be very good at ballet.
Yeah.
So, but I think this is more about, Jonathan's image of what a ballet dancer is. I think he has a very narrow definition of what makes a good ballerina.
Yes. Well, and you can be large and be good, but can you be the best? I think is the is the question, because throughout my lifetime, you've had these people in various sports who excelled at their sport despite not being the typical body type. There have been several basketball players, several baseball especially, who just they don't look super trim and fit and still excel at their sport.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's more of that. It's like, can you do it? Sure. Can you be the best? And that's where you get into the toxicity of being the best in the world at something, because it does take usually more sacrifice than your average person is definitely willing. And even, some of your beyond skilled and average people are willing to give. So the whole thing is just, I don't know, toxic is an overused word, but yeah, just the whole idea of pushing yourself to be the best in the world at something. It literally means doing the thing that others won't, because you're already talking about these dancers who have toughened their feet to be able to go on point and stretched their bodies in all these weird ways. So you're already in the top 2%. And what will you do? What do you have to do to get that extra to be the number one? Yeah. So there's a better movie exploring that, I'm sure. Yeah. But yeah, there's a bit of that there.
Yeah. So. But yeah, so there's it's funny, at the beginning we said this is targeted to like 14-year-old girls. There's way more here that you can unpack that when you're 14 and you see this is just all over your head. And it's that's Charlie. Yeah. He's so dreamy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but as I think we've shown, like even, really silly entertainment, there is a lot there, and we are nothing if not skilled at nitpicking and unpacking everything. But I think that's center stage. Did we miss anything? I think we got it all.
Let's see. Yeah, no, we didn't talk about the salsa dancing. No, there's anything that we missed, I'm sure. Is fine.
I do enjoy the line from that. I thought she was gonna unhook her jaw and swallow you whole. Right. I'm waiting for a chance to use that in my personal life. So yeah, nobody wants to dance with Sergei because he says he's a ballet dancer. So then he says he's in the mafia, and this old lady is like, oh well, yes, and she dances all sexy for him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, this is I think a fun movie for some people. Dave's looking at me like, no, it's not.
It didn't. I'm still here, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
I didn't claw my eyes out. Like,
sure,
it's fine. It's sure. Like it seems to do what it wants to do, and the fact that they cast a lot of real dancers means that all the dancing is very authentic. Yeah. But yeah, like there's a minimal amount of comedy, and what is there doesn't necessarily hit 100%. And it's just a lot of teen drama.
If you like dancing, and you will enjoy it. Otherwise, maybe not so much. But yeah. Well, anyway, so we would love to hear what you think about Center Stage. So, are you a dancer? Can you tell us what you nitpick about the movie? Do you have thoughts on, is Cooper a bad guy? On body image? On is Jim actually a stalker? Would you date him? I'd love to hear it. So you can drop us a line. We're at either Gmail or Twitter. The handle is the same, YSMY podcast, YSMY for you, show me yours. So please let us know what you think. And then in the meantime, before our next episode, if you could do us a favor and make sure that you are subscribed to our podcast on your provider of choice. We are on most of the big ones, as far as I know, including Spotify.
We are on literally everything that we can be on.
Yes.
And that I know about. And
yes. If there's a platform you would like us to be on and we're not, let us know and we'll see what we can do. So
I live for filling out forms to get our podcast on different providers.
I live for filling out forms just in general.
Yes.
In triplicate.
Well, speaking of living, would you like to live forever? Because next time, sorry, you can't. I got to figure out good transitions. Like it's got to. Yeah. I need them.
I think that was fine.
I live and breathe.
Just my answer is no.
But you don't. Your answers. Oh, I thought your no was to my handy transition. No,
that was my answer to the question. No, I don't want to live forever. But okay.
Yeah. Next time on the next episode, I'm going to have Marian watch Highlander. and she is going to love it or hate it, or okay, guarantee this. You will love the soundtrack.
Okay.
You will love the soundtrack.
Okay. Different from Outlander, right?
Totally different.
Okay.
Yes.
Is there hot Scotsman sex?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. I'm on
not
board.
Sure. I can never remember if it's Connor McLeod or Duncan McLeod, because there's a television series too.
Mm-hmm.
Connor McLeod, Declan McLeod.
All I know is there can be only one. That's all I know.
There can be only one, and Sean Connery plays a Spanish guy.
Oh, okay. I'm on board.
Just great.
Okay.
He plays a great Spaniard.
Okay.
And Clancy, what's his name? Clancy Brown is in it.
Really?
Yes, in a
As
very
a Scotsman?
No.
Okay.
In a very different role. So
okay.
You will see next time.
All right, folks. We'll tune in next time for that. New episodes every other Wednesday. So see you in 2 weeks to talk about Highlander. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.
Bye. The You Show Me Yours theme song is Uplifting Electronic Indie by Winnie the Moog from filmmusic.io.